Okay, so think about this for a second. Something like your tap water.
Hmm.
Can that actually tell you something deeper about, the country you live in? Today we're kind of digging into that.
Right, those assumptions we don't even realize we have.
Exactly. We've got this YouTube video from More Japes. It's an American reacting to another video.
The original one was from Bagabound, Raina and
Now
Jason.
that's them, Americans living over in France. And they're talking about three, well, myths about the US that kind of fell apart for them once they moved to Europe.
So this is like a shortcut for us then, to get their perspective.
Yeah, think of it like that. A quick way to understand how seeing things from the outside, from Europe in this case, can really shift how you view home.
Could be useful for anyone sort of questioning things or just curious.
Totally. So, our mission today is basically to unpack these three myths. We'll look at what Raina and Jason experienced and also what the reactor, more Jeps, thought about it all.
Okay, let's get into it. The first one, this is a biggie.
Uh-huh. The idea that the US is the best country in the world, period.
Yeah, is that something you hear or would just sort of absorb growing up in the States,
Well,
right?
absolutely. Flags everywhere, the Pledge of Allegiance in school. It's constant reinforcement.
But then Raina and Jason, they moved to France, and suddenly it's like, hang on a minute.
Right. They start seeing other ways of doing things. They mentioned universal healthcare that's actually high quality.
And education that doesn't cost a fortune.
Yeah, and even safety, like statistically safer than the US in some ways. That must have been eye-opening.
It challenges that core belief. Raina apparently called the myth ridiculous and egotistical. Strong words.
Well, yeah, she linked it to the US being so huge and historically maybe a bit isolated.
That makes sense. Like this weird, pervasive belief, as she put it, that if America hasn't figured something out, then nobody has.
It's like a default setting. And the reactor, more Japsy, he really keyed in on this with the water example
Oh, yeah, that was fascinating. Raina and Jason's family visiting France.
and asking if the tap water was safe to drink. Even bringing, what, purification stuff?
Yeah, purification tablets, buying bottled water initially. It's pretty telling.
Especially when you contrast it with, sadly, real water issues in the US, like Flint, obviously.
Right. But the reactor also mentioned his own experiences, just seeing cloudy water or little particles in tap water in different parts of the U.S. Not everywhere, but enough to notice.
Hmm. And he made an observation about seeing lots of bottled water being bought in US supermarkets. Sometimes, he thought, maybe more by recent immigrants.
Interesting point. Maybe suggesting less trust in the tap water from the get-go for some people.
Could be. And the real kicker is the irony, isn't it? Questioning French tap water safety.
When actual French bottled water, like Avon, is sold as a premium product in the U.S.
Exactly. It completely flips that assumption that US infrastructure must be the best.
It really does. And it makes you wonder about other things, too.
Like what?
Well, the reactor brought up public transport, buses specifically, saying the U.S. often lags behind other countries there.
Ah, right. Another area where maybe the best in the world idea doesn't quite hold up when you look closely.
It just shows that gap,
Yeah.
between the belief and what people experience when they see alternatives.
Okay, so that leads nicely into the second myth they tackled. This one's about freedom.
Americans are more free than people in other democracies.
Yeah. Land of the free. It's right there in the national anthem. But what does that actually mean day to day?
That's the core question they raised. Raina and Jason noticed different flavors of freedom, maybe?
How so?
Well, they describe the American view as often being about freedom, too.
Freedom, too. Like, own a gun, practice your religion openly.
Exactly. Spend your money how you want, have your own car. That kind of individual empowerment.
Okay. But the European side, what they saw there,
They frame that more as freedom from.
freedom from, like, from violence. Or
Freedom from the threat of violence,
Well-
freedom from worrying you'll die because you can't afford health care.
freedom from having religion pushed on you, maybe. Or from pollution.
Exactly. Freedom from those kinds of societal worries or dangers. It's a really different emphasis.
It highlights that intense individualism in the US, doesn't it?
Totally. The idea that your personal freedoms should, always come first, no matter the cost to the group.
And the car example they used really makes that clear.
Oh, yeah. Everyone has to have their own car.
Yeah.
That's freedom.
But the result is traffic jams. Miles of them. Often just one person in a huge SUV.
So that individual freedom actually leads to less freedom. In practice, you're stuck, wasting
Right.
time.
Instead of, say, investing more in trains or even just carpooling more effectively.
It suggests that sometimes the American focus on freedom, too, can actually get in the way of smoother collective living, maybe even limiting a broader kind of freedom.
The freedom from being stuck in traffic for hours.
Precisely. It's a paradox.
Okay, that's a lot to think about. Which brings us to myth number 3. The U.S. offers the highest quality of life.
Another huge one. And how do you even measure that? Quality of life. It's so subjective.
Well, according to the video, the initial American definition often seems tied to, well, money.
Financial success, yeah. Buying more stuff, bigger stuff, nicer stuff.
Visible wealth,
Yeah,
the size of your house, your car, all that. It's like a scoreboard.
that's a good way to put it. A very visible material scoreboard.
And Raina and Jason saw how that lens could make Europe look, well, less successful.
Because incomes might be lower on average, homes smaller, fewer people owning cars.
Exactly. So an American might look at that and think, oh, their quality of life must be lower.
But Raina and Jason argue the definition of wealth itself is different there.
Different how?
They felt Europeans were often wealthier in, like, time
Yeah.
and peace of mind.
Ah, okay. So wealth isn't just money in the bank or stuff you own.
Right. It's having time off, lower stress levels maybe, a different kind of richness.
The reactor, More Jeps, kind of echoed that. He talked about how chasing material wealth in the U.S. doesn't always equal happiness.
Yeah, he even brought up that saying, more money, more problems. Sometimes having all that stuff just brings its own stresses.
And the safety net thing came up again here too, didn't it?
Definitely. In many European countries, having more security around basics, healthcare, education costs.
They mentioned insulin for diabetics, their daughter's education, things that can be huge financial burdens in the U.S.
Right. Having that security net potentially means less background anxiety, less constant financial stress, which massively impacts quality of life.
And just the culture around work-life balance. They really noticed that in France.
Oh, yeah. Shorter work weeks, the famous 5 weeks of vacation.
Even businesses closing for lunch or having shorter hours, a real emphasis on meal times, family, leisure.
It signals different priorities, fundamentally.
So for Raina and Jason, their whole perspective shifted. Quality of life wasn't about more flashier stuff anymore.
Exactly. It became about something else. And they actually had a message for other Americans dreaming of moving abroad.
Oh yeah, what was that?
Basically, don't let these ingrained, maybe brainwashed American beliefs hold you back. While also saying, hey, that American optimism and adaptability, that's real too.
That's a nice balance. Okay, so wrapping this up. We've walked through these 3 big American myths.
The U.S. has the best, Americans is the most free, the U.S. having the highest quality of life.
And through the eyes Americans living abroad and the reactor reflecting on it, we see these ideas really challenged. Different ways to define best, free, quality.
It definitely shifts the focus more towards collective well-being, different kinds of freedom, valuing time and security.
So it really leaves you, the listener, with something to chew on, doesn't it?
For sure. Like, what does a good quality of life mean to you? What factors are most important?
And how does the society you live in either help or hinder you in achieving that?
Or thinking about that freedom point.
Mm-hmm.
Are there times when the American focus on individual freedom might actually limit the well-being of the community?
Lots to think about there. It really underlines the value of, questioning assumptions.
Absolutely. And just being open to the idea that there are lots of valid ways to live and organize a society.